In this video, we're just going to look at how we make the decision about what types of rules we want to use when we're naming different compounds. There's a really nice flowchart that we're going to go through, and it all comes back with the formula. Now, the reason why we have so many different types of naming rules is because there are many different types of substances, and we need to be specific when we describe them so that we can understand the chemistry that's going on. The formula is where we start, and this is a formalized description of one unit of the substance in question. It tells you what types of atoms are present and how many of each type are in that single unit. The fact that it's formalized merely means that it obeys specific rules. Now, the first question you should ask yourself is, do I see a metal and a nonmetal or metalloid present? Because if so, then you're dealing with an ionic compound, and we need to use those rules. The second question you should ask yourself, is the cation in group 1 or 2? Remember, the cation will be the element listed first. If that is the case, then you can use the binary ionic rules. If, on the other hand, you see that your cation comes from the D block, that it is a transition metal, we need to use the transition metal rules. These simply ask us to state what charge is on that transition metal as part of the formula. So going back up to the formula, if you see only nonmetals and/or metalloids, then you need to use the covalent naming rules. These compounds are held together with covalent bonds. The first question you should ask yourself, do you see a combination of hydrogen plus a halogen or a chalcogen, maybe oxygen? If you see a grouping like this, you most likely have an acid, and you need to use the acid naming rules. If, on the other hand, there's only other nonmetals present without any hydrogen, then you can use the binary covalent rules. To come back to the acids, we need to make one more decision here. If there is no oxygen present in your acid, you can use the binary acid rules. But if you do see oxygen, you need to use our oxoacid rules. A final note, everywhere you see a purple star on a box, you can have polyatomic ions as part of your compound, in which case you need to check for the possible polyatomic ions and incorporate them as needed. To recap, begin with your formula, separate it into ionic or covalent. Within ionic, make sure you don't have a transition metal. If you do, follow the transition metal rules. In covalent, check first to see if you have an acid by looking for a combination of hydrogen, a halogen, or a chalcogen, maybe oxygen. If you see that, go down to your acid rules and figure out if it's a binary acid or an oxoacid. For all other covalent compounds, use the binary covalent rules. So I hope this helps you make some decisions. Make sure to keep practicing. I've given you a couple different sheets with naming practice, and I will see you guys in class.